All right, everybody, it's time. Playoff time in the NFL. Eagles 1 seed. Talking about it. Sports Hounds coming up right now.
Oh, my God! I'm embarrassed! He's flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Sports Hounds each and every Monday night here exclusively on A2DRadio.com. Live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, and Instagram. You miss anything here on the Sports Hounds, download us wherever you get your podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and iTunes. Hit the damn like button, hit the damn subscribe button, and turn those notifications on. It's playoff time in the NFL. It's national championship time in college football. We got the MLB Hot Stove, and quite honestly, I have a lot of strong opinions tonight on some of the things I see going on around the league. Aaron Rodgers being one of them, the Houston Texans being another one. So, we're getting into it all. We'll do early leans, look at the entire league. But he's Brad Ryer, I'm Rob Brinkman. We got you. Big football show tonight, mixing in some baseball down at the end. National championship ready to pick off. Collective sigh of relief yesterday around 7 o'clock, Brad, from Eagles Nation. They finally clinched the 1 seed. They get the bye. They defeat the New York Giants 22-16. Wasn't a pretty win, but keyword was win. They got the win.
Absolutely.
And look, I don't know what's going on with this coaching staff and why they're not running the ball and why they get pass happy with a quarterback with a bummed up shoulder. But, they got 2 weeks to rest. They got 2 weeks to figure it out. They're going to sit back. They're going to watch film. They're going to get healthy. They're going to prepare themselves for a home playoff game, presumably next Sunday against Tampa, the New York Giants, the Seattle Seahawks, or the Giants. The only teams that can't play, the Cowboys. The only teams that can't play are the Vikings and obviously the Niners. So that brings us to our poll question tonight. Each and every Monday, our show broadcast here on A2D Radio, Sports Hound, brought to you by Baguio Breads, located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pie, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Mention A2D, get 10% off your order. We are also brought to you by Creative Window Design, serving New York, PA, New Jersey, Florida. Fully authorized Hunter Douglas dealer. Contact Jeff, 609-226-0391. Free consultation. He'll get you hooked up. Look, that brings us to our poll question. Our poll question brought to you by FanUp. Best way to enjoy daily fantasy sports and more. Win great prizes. Sign up today. A2D. Promo code for 50,000 bonus points. That's a $50 value. Fan up, only in the Apple App Store. That brings us to our poll question of the night. And Brad, we're going to give your Giants some love tonight because the Giants and the Seahawks, really, super unexpected playoff situations there.
I think the Seahawks are probably more unexpected than the Giants, to be honest with you.
Both had question marks and head coach.
Both of them big time. I mean, we got both between Carroll and Dable. They both did tremendous jobs on taking quarterbacks who I don't think either one of us were particularly high on and having them have very good seasons.
So that's our poll question tonight. The Giants are the most dangerous opponent for the Philadelphia Eagles in the divisional round. Brad, I'll let you start because I have absolutely no feel for the Giants and Vikings game that's going to take place, I believe, next Sunday at 4 o'clock. No feel. I have no idea who's going to win.
That's a good thing for the Giants. That says a lot about the Giants then, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're a good team, and the Vikings are a good team. Both are flawed teams.
Absolutely. The one thing I will say about the Giants, though, is that they're going to have all their guys back. I mean, they're not going to have Wan'Dale Robinson back, and they're not going to have the other Robinson at corner. That's they're gone for the season. There's not much we can do about that. But I mean, guys like Adoree Jackson, who they desperately need out there to defend against Jefferson, and they're going to have what's his name, the safety. I forgot his name now. So bad with names. The safety that had the little
Landon Collins.
No, not Landon Collins. The
kid from Bama, McKinney.
Yeah, McKinney. They're going to have him back. Those are two, and Leonard Williams is going to be healthy finally. He didn't play. None of those guys played yesterday. Dexter Lawrence didn't play yesterday either. But all these guys are going to be, well rested and ready to go. And they didn't have all these guys the last time they played Minnesota, and they lost 27-24 on a 61-yard field goal. So if the Giants can't have confidence that they can go in with all these guys healthy, plus Barkley gets a week off, so he's not going to be banged up, and he was a bit banged up for that game. I think the Giants can beat the Vikings. Why not? They only lost 27-24, and the Vikings haven't exactly been playing great football. I know they beat the Bears, but the Bears are playing at such a low level right now. I would say big deal. What happened against any team that was good? They almost lost to the Colts, for crying out loud.
So it sounds like Giants Nation is fairly optimistic that they're going to beat the Vikings.
I'll tell you what. I'm on a couple of their fan hotline, what do you call it? Their fan things for fan groups on Facebook, and most of them feel that it's a 50-50. It's a 50-50 shot. And again, nobody's getting too caught. A couple of people were getting, there's always a couple of fans who don't even think about what they say, and they're not definitely going to beat the Vikings, and nobody can say that. You can't say 75% either, which a couple of people said, but most Giant fans are saying between 40 and 50% chance to win the game. They don't have to play a perfect game because Minnesota is not that good. Minnesota's playoff appearances, they haven't exactly played well. All the pressure is going to be on Kirk Cousins. It's not going to be on the Giants, that's for sure. So the Giants are kind of playing pressure-free football, and if the whole team understands that they're playing with house money to relax, go out, have fun, and try to execute their plays and not get all nervous and crazy about it, I think they got a shot to win. As long as they don't get caught up in the moment, go out there and play. Nobody expected you to make the playoffs, right? Not only that, nobody expected at the beginning of the season for you to get to the second round, no less win the first round, no less make the playoffs. So go out there and play and relax and understand. There's no expectations for you right now. It might be different next season, but enjoy what you got now and go for it. See what happens.
So let's just assume that the Seahawks are going to drop their game to the Niners, which I think
they're going to get
is most likely going to happen. Niners are a really good football team. Niners are a really hot football team. Niners are a really well-coached football team. And Seattle, probably, you're right, overachieved even more so than the Giants. That means if your Giants win.
They traded Russ. Yeah, they traded Russ, and they put Geno Smith. Between Daniel Jones and Geno Smith at the beginning of the season, I think everybody was like, yeah, for both those teams, for both those quarterbacks. And then they both turn around and have career years. So, and Geno Smith looked like a franchise quarterback. And Danny is getting close. I think he's right on the borderline. I think if we can somehow next season bring him some receivers, I think we'll see if he's I think he can honestly see if he's a franchise quarterback. Geno Smith proved he was last year. But again, he's got Metcalf, and the Giants don't. So that I think is the difference there. But I don't think Seattle has any chance to beat San Francisco right now. I think
that means if your Giants do win, they're coming to the Link in 2 weeks to play the Philadelphia Eagles in a third matchup.
Correct.
So, to the poll question, the Giants are the most dangerous opponent for the Eagles in the divisional round.
I would think the Dallas might be a little bit more dangerous than the Giants, but who knows? Dallas is a really weird team.
Dak stinks.
You know what? They're
He
a
absolutely stinks. I
they're
mean,
a
whose
weird
fault was it
team.
yesterday? He stunk up the joint against Washington. I mean, the Eagles needed the win yesterday for the number 1 seed, but Dallas took care of the East for him by laying an absolute egg against Sam Howell, rookie, 5th-round quarterback out of North Carolina. I mean, Dak was 10 of 33 for not many yards and yet another pick 6. I mean, the guys led the league in interceptions, and he missed 5 weeks with a broken thumb. I can't sit here and say I'm worried about a quarterback like that. They have some nice things going for him on defense. Lawrence, Parsons, Diggs, CeeDee Lamb's a really good receiver. They have a good tight end, a couple good running backs, but push comes to shove, I think the Eagles beat Dallas.
Well, the question really is with Dallas, who shows up? Because they are beyond a weird team. They have games. They have games where you just kind of scratch your head like, what the heck? They win convincing games on the road, and then they on the road against Minnesota, they slaughter Minnesota. Who else did they beat? I'm trying to remember who else they beat. They lost to Green Bay on the road. They got beat up in Green Bay after blowing a lead, and it's been a weird season for them.
So I'm not that worried about Dallas. I'm really not. And then I know people are going to be like, I don't want to play the GOAT, this, that, and the other. That's fine. Tampa's probably the team that I would most welcome into the link and be the most confident against because the Eagles' defensive line is menacing and Tampa's offensive line stinks to high heaven. And that Tampa defense isn't what it was a year ago at all.
No, it's good, but it's not like last year. I would agree with you.
I think Brady has lost a little something. He's still good. He can still stand back there and deliver the ball, especially when he's not pressured. So that's probably the matchup that I would most welcome. Seattle, we already went over. They're not going to win. So they ain't coming here.
No.
And that brings me to the Giants. Mike McCarthy, Brian Dable, Todd Bowles. Who's the best coach?
I think right now it's Dable.
By far, not even close, without a shadow of a doubt, it's Brian Dable.
And we also have the best defensive coordinator by a country mile out of those guys.
And Wink Martindale.
Yeah, that's the thing. And, you got to give Wink a little credit. I know the Giants didn't have a very good game at the Meadowlands. They had a lot of guys injured. But you know what? He figured out with second and third stringers yesterday a game plan to keep the Eagles dangerous players in front of them and not give up touchdowns. Yeah, they gave up 5 field goals. I get that, but 5 field goals is only 15 points. I mean, they gave up 22 points. That's an amount of points that they could win a game if they give up 22 points to the Eagles again if they had to play them. They could conceivably score 23.
So the Giants had the best coach out of those possible opponents for the Eagles in the divisional round. And then you talked about the Giants playing with house money against the Vikings in the wild card round on Sunday.
Oh, they'd really be playing with house money against
then you're really playing with house money.
Yeah.
If
God forbid the Giants got out to like an early 10-0 lead, and then listen, I got to tell you guys, I know how you are. You'd all be turning on the Eagles and booing the hell out of them. That'd really be putting the pressure on them. So you never know. But look, it would be very tough for the Giants to win to get win back-to-back road games against 2 quality opponents. That would be very hard. They are not yet quite where they need to be as far as going into a hostile environment like Philadelphia. They might be able to get past Minnesota because, quite honestly, I have very little respect for Minnesota. The way they got their asses kicked by the Eagles and the way they got their asses kicked by the Cowboys, I'm sorry. And Green Bay did the same thing to them, and so did Detroit. So you know what? I'm not convinced at all that the Vikings are even close to being as good as their record. I mean, I think the Vikings, they got off to a good start. They didn't have a very difficult schedule. They got a couple. They got some very fortunate wins this year. You know, they got fortunate against the Giants. They got fortunate against the Jets. You know, and a lot of their games they were fortunate. When they lost, man, they got slaughtered. So I could see the Giants going in there and winning. I just can't see them going into Philly and winning though. That's. I don't think. Listen, I just don't think that they have a good enough roster right now to do that. You know, at wide receiver, they're not real strong. They're not good at stopping the run, and that's what the Eagles do best. You know, and in a big spot, I'd be shocked if your coach allows Jalen Hurts to throw it 40 times again. I would think that they'd be running the ball and continuing to run the ball as often as humanly possible. That's my opinion. But again, you know, the pressure thing is real. That's real. So
Nick,
I mean,
man,
we have
wants
to see.
wing it.
Yeah, I mean, the
Sirianni, man, he wants to wing it around. He doesn't running the ball. He doesn't want to run the ball. Thank God Shane Steichen here in his ear a little bit to give this team some type of balance, because as Jalen Hurts has continued to emerge, I feel like they run the ball less and less. I don't know how you think that they're going to – I don't see them running the ball more. Like, why wouldn't you run the ball more yesterday? Yesterday should have been run the ball 40 times, mix in some play action, vanilla passing game, get the heck out of there with the win. Now, that's what they did. It was a vanilla game plan, and they got out of there with the win, but they
gave the Giants confidence.
They're throwing the ball all over the field.
They also gave the Giants
I don't understand
it. That they could go in there with their with their top players and be competitive and play with them. And, you know, again,
to be fair, hold on. To be fair, the Eagles did move the ball up and down the field in the first half with ease.
Yeah, but they didn't get in the end zone.
They just did not. Their red zone offense was horrible. They only came away with one touchdown, and getting all those field goals, especially with a bunch of backups, it gives them new life. So red zone offense needs to improve. They need more balance. They just need more balance.
I thought the
Giants. And I know there's some Eagles fans out there. I know there's some Eagles fans out there that are panicked and they're concerned because this team isn't as good as they were on January 1st as they were on December 1st. I get that. But that's the NFL. It's ebbs and flows. The Eagles are a very, 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 very good football team. And they have a lot of things going for them.
But they also have lost a few guys too, and that could be problematic.
I mean, the Lane Johnson injury and the Jalen Hurts injury. Well, Jalen Hurts, that's going to happen. If you have a quarterback that's mobile and you want to design runs for him, he's going to get hurt. That's going to happen. So
you just have to make sure, you know, that if he runs, he's running less than 10 times a game. You can't be running him 15, 20 times a game. You just can't.
Well, this is what the RPO is. This is why I don't like, you know, the RPO as much as some other people do, because it puts a lot on the quarterback to make a good decision about whether he should keep the ball, hand the ball to the running back, or pass the ball.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's so dynamic running the football. You know, I mean, listen, I've watched Daniel Jones all year, okay? And the fact that they've been doing a lot of RPOs this year, look at how well Daniel Jones has run the football. I mean, I get it. But, you know, you don't want to get carried away, because Daniel Jones did get hurt one game. I believe who was it against? The Ravens? I think it was against the Ravens. Yeah. He got hurt in the Raven game, you know, and then Tyrod Taylor had to go in and save the day, and he couldn't save the day because then he got a concussion. And then Daniel Jones, who could barely walk, couldn't go in, and then by the end of the game, Saquon Barkley was the quarterback. You know, I mean, that's the only problem with that offense is you are risking your quarterback if you let him run the ball too much. You know, you got to really pick and choose.
But the Eagles' offense doesn't work to its full capacity if you don't have Jalen as a running option.
But the other problem is it doesn't work to its capacity if he's not playing either. So you have to try to figure out.
You have to do what you think. Look, you have to do what you got to dance with the girl that you brought.
Exactly. Oh, I agree. I agree. Jalen just has to be smart. Get down when somebody's coming near him. Get out of bounds and not take a big hit. That's the thing. I think he's taking more of a chance when he goes back to pass than when he's running the ball, because at least when he goes back to pass, he'll see the guy. For the most part, he'll see the guys coming and he can get away from them. And if necessary, you can either A, throw the ball away, or B, get out of bounds. That's kind of what he can do when he's throwing. So it might be that yesterday they had him throw the ball so that the risk factor of him getting hurt would be lower. That's the only thing I could think that they did.
But he has a hurt throwing shoulder.
Yeah, but what would happen if he runs and he gets tackled and he lands on his shoulder? That's the thing. I think he'd take less punishment. His shoulder would take less. It's still going to.
But Brad, what if they put all the starters on a bus to the game and it crashes, and the second stringer bus doesn't crash, and all the second stringers have to play? You can't live life like that.
I agree. So listen. I mean, the Giants have the same problem, Rob. Suppose they run Daniel Jones too much. Daniel Jones got hurt one game and he missed the fourth quarter.
But Daniel Jones isn't as effective as a quarterback if he doesn't run the ball sometimes.
Exactly. Well, but that's both of them are like that. I mean, they're a lot more effective if the threat of a run is in there. It is what it is. So, I mean, it's important. It's very important for him, for Jalen Hurts, just to make sure that he's ready to go. I think that's the most important aspect of this whole thing. He's got to be ready to go. Now, I don't think Lane Johnson's going to play. I doubt it. I don't know. Listen, I messed up my oblique, and I mean, I know it's not the same thing, but yeah, coughing, of course, but I mean, I understand how much it hurts. Believe me, when it starts spasming, I mean, it feels like there's a knife going through your side. That's kind of what it is. So I get all that, but you have to just get through it and play. Just play smart. That's all.
I'm sort of with you on the Lane Johnson. I mean, I love Lane Johnson. He's a premier.
But how is he going to play with that?
I don't know.
I mean,
that
takes 4 weeks. I don't care what anybody says. That takes like 4 to 6 weeks before. And baseball players, it takes them 2 months.
He needs surgery.
Oh, he's not going to play then?
He's delaying surgery to try and play. I don't know how you can block a Kayvon Thibodeau or Nick Bosa or someone like that.
He's going to block Dexter Lawrence
with a torn abdomen. I don't know. I mean, look, I hope he plays and he's Lane Johnson and he doesn't miss a beat. But I mean, a torn abdomen that needs surgery. I mean, I don't know how he's going to be effective. That's super concerning.
Yeah,
Jalen Hurts wasn't right yesterday.
I mean, I don't think fans understand how much anything down there hurts, unless you've had something like that.
If I tore my abdomen, I'd be out of work for 6 months.
I mean, if you just pull a muscle down there, it's unbelievable how much it hurts, and then you get spasms with it. So I mean, look, it's part of the game, but I can't see him. I honestly can't see him playing. I mean, God bless him if he can show up and play. If he can play through the pain and be able to move around, I just don't see it. And I don't know about Sweat. What's the deal with him? Is he going to be able to play?
I don't know.
What about my friend Boston Scott, who once again, I mean, we hold you to one stinking touchdown yesterday, and of course it had to be him. And he's not good. He's not good. He has 17 lifetime touchdowns and 10 against the Giants. What the hell? Are you kidding me? Seriously, all the great players that you have on your team, and that's the guy that keeps killing us every fucking game for the last 10 years. It's unbelievable.
He's a decent little player.
Oh,
He's
not
getting
I'm not
more and
saying,
more carries because I don't know why I don't know why they keep going away from Miles Sanders and
but of
giving
all the guys
Gainwell
you
and
have,
Scott.
but of all the guys you have and all the receivers you have, that's the guy that keeps burning us every game. Every time we play, he scores touchdowns.
He does.
Even when you lose, he scores touchdowns.
I like it.
The only guy I can think of that ever used to do that to the that did that to the Giants all the time was Harold Jackson back in the 70s. No matter how bad the Eagles were, Harold Jackson used to score touchdowns against the Giants. Other than that, I can't not ever think of anybody who used to constantly just do it every single game against them. He does it. And it's crazy. You got Miles Sanders on your team. You have Dallas Goedert. You have those two great receivers. I mean, come on. Give me a break. It's unbelievable. And Jalen Hurts could run it in. This is the guy that always does it. It's just, if you're a Giant fan, guys, it's mind-boggling that it's always the same guy. And it's not like this guy is a legendary football player until he plays. He goes from Joe Average to Jim Brown when he plays the Giants. It's just remarkable.
All right, let's get to some comments here in the comment board. Comments brought to you by Aria Public Adjusting. Do you have damage to your home or property? We may be able to help. Don't fight your homeowner's insurance alone. Contact Aria Public Adjusting, 813-564-3364. Jake Friel. What's up, boys? I'm going to disagree with the poll. I'd be more worried about facing Brady. I'm not. Look, Brady is Brady, and he's the greatest of all time. And I don't think he's quite cooked yet. He's getting there, but I'll take the Eagles' defensive line against that stinky Bucs offensive line that hasn't been able to block anybody all year, all day long. That's actually I said it earlier, that's actually the matchup that I would be most confident in advancing to an NFC Championship game.
Think about this, okay? The Tampa Bay Bucs scored, 16 points against the Arizona Cardinals? Okay. Yeah. The 49ers yesterday put 38 up on them. So, I mean, wait a minute. They put 35 up on Tampa Bay. Okay? So, as far as Tampa Bay is concerned, you guys would have your way with them.
They're not good.
No.
Like, they're really not good. And they're going to play Dallas next Monday night. We'll be locked in that one, doing some live reactions.
They did beat Dallas 19-3 on opening night, but
that was a long.
Yeah, I know.
Long time.
I think that Dallas again is a very strange team. I can't figure them out at all. I mean, every week it's a different. It's like watching Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But so I don't know who's going to show up with Dallas. If Dallas shows up, they should be able to beat Tampa Bay, I would think.
Boy, before we get to Joe's comment, national championship is underway. Georgia's already up 7-0. Georgia looks like a professional football team playing against middle schoolers. I mean, every guy is just huge compared to the TCU counterpart.
Yeah, and they're also, it seems like every play
Duggan's trying to get outside and run, and this Georgia defense is having none of it. I have Georgia minus 13 in the football game. I feel pretty good about it.
I would
like an upset.
Anything under 14 points is worth the play.
I like an upset as much as the next person, and I think a TCU win would be ultimately good for the sport of college football because it's a sport that lacks parity.
Yeah. But if Minnesota was playing, if Michigan played them, it would be a better game, I think.
Michigan, I mean, they always find a way to screw everything up too. But anyway, we got that on the background. We'll be chiming in. Big third down here for TCU. Not even close. Wouldn't have been even close to a first down, even if they completed it.
Well, he had to get rid of it.
He had time there. That's not fair. He had time there. Duggan had time there. Looks like they're going to get bailed out by a penalty here.
Well, there you go. Defensive holding.
Defensive holding on Georgia. So
All right, so
TCU
they catch a break.
matriculating the football down the field.
Yeah, Kirby Smart's not too happy about it, but what are you gonna do?
Stetson
that's the way it
Bennett
goes.
is a stud.
Yes, he is. I'm just wondering, can he play in the NFL? Oh, boy,
I mean, hey,
that they called that holding.
that's weak. But
Oh,
Stetson
boy.
Bennett in the NFL, look, Brock Purdy got picked in the last pick of the draft. He got picked to a great situation. And
Yeah, that's
there's
true.
TCU fumbling
Oh,
the football.
no. They would
That's
have
going
been
to be
better off
Georgia
punting.
football. That 1,000% can't happen if TCU is going to pull this upset. So
They would have been better off punting.
the dogs are barking out in LA.
Jeez.
I mean,
Boy, oh,
hopefully
boy.
TCU can show. I mean, the guy just dropped it. I mean, he barely
First of
got
all, you can't run to your left and have the football in your right hand. That's he should know that by now. I mean, come on. How long has that guy been playing football? If you're running to your right, you put the football in your right hand. If you're running to your left, you got to put it in your left hand so that you can protect the ball. I mean, that's just dumb. I like these. I like the Road Warriors stuff that they put on themselves after they make a great play on the sideline. By the way, that's pretty funny. And look at this. I mean, they basically, when they get hit, they're gaining 2-3 extra yards by just running them over.
I mean, that's just a cut and go, and it's just wide open.
I mean, TCU did a nice job cutting the outside and forcing them back into the middle. They did do a nice job, but they should have had him before. They shouldn't have let him get 5 yards out of that.
But, I mean, as far as Stetson Bennett is as an NFL prospect, look, Brock Purdy, he was pretty good at Iowa State. He gets picked by the Niners in the last pick in the draft, gets picked to a good situation. He sits and learns from a great coach in Kyle Shanahan. Now he's in there, and the Niners have a legitimate shot to win a championship.
Who knew? Listen, Brady was a 5th or a 6th round pick.
6th round. So, like,
So I
don't know. I don't know. I mean, we'll get into the draft later on, but I mean, if you're in like the 5th, 6th, 7th round, and you need a quarterback to add to your room, why not pick Stetson Bennett? He's a winner. He's athletic. Their first touchdown was a great run by Stetson Bennett. Now he's proved he can distribute the football.
I think the guy in Alabama. I think the guy in Alabama to me looked like a pro quarterback, but
Bryce, I like Stroud on Ohio State.
He looked good too. I think those two guys to me look like pro quarterbacks.
All right, let's get back to the comment board. Joseph Orosky disagree that the Giants are the biggest threat to the Eagles, but I do think that's exactly who we're going to face. Giants over Vikings on Sunday. Joe also likes the Niners over the Seahawks, Giants over Vikings, Bucks over Cowboys.
That would all be just fine.
The Bucks Cowboys game next Monday is going to be
interesting.
Super intriguing.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting game.
Because you have Dallas, who sucks, and they always choke. And Dak sucks. He's a turnover machine. And Dallas can't ever seem to do anything on the road.
No.
But Tampa stinks, but they have Brady.
Right. Tampa has won they won their last 2 games, but in that division they should have had at least 10, 11 wins. I mean, I don't get it. They were playing in the worst division. It's just ridiculous.
Bob Ringwood, as long as the Giants don't get behind early, they got a chance.
Well, the first time they played them, they got behind 10-0, and they were able to come back. So I mean, and they were also behind, I believe, 21-10, and then they ended up with 24-24. So, Minnesota's defense is not good. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what Viking fans think. Their defense is not good. Okay. Yes, they have some dynamic offensive players, no doubt. I can't argue that. Justin Jefferson is great. Cook is, probably the second best or maybe even the best running back they've ever had in their history, unless you want to talk about Chuck Foreman. But that's close. They're comparable for sure. But Cousins is what one playoff game in his career. If that, two, okay. But I mean, he's been in the playoffs probably, 7-8 times. I mean, his playoff record is not exactly impressive. Cousins did beat the Saints, and I'll give him that. That was a hell of an upset. But again, there was no pressure on him that game because the Saints
win one on Washington too.
No, not with Washington. He didn't.
No,
that was
RG3.
Maybe it's just one. RG3 won. If you're thinking about it, that was RG3.
What was that game where he was all jacked up and you like that? You like that? He said to all the media. That was a playoff win.
He had who? RG3 or Cousins?
No, Cousins.
Cousins. That was against the Saints. So he went to New Orleans and beat them. And he threw arguably the best pass he ever threw in his career on that 50-yard bomb.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
sure.
That's the only. Listen, my memory may not be that good, but that's the only game I can remember Minnesota. The only playoff game I can remember Minnesota winning it. Oh, No. Case Keenum was the quarterback when they won that one game, and then they got smoked by the Eagles 5 years ago, right?
Yes, Kirk Cousins is 1-3 in the playoffs.
Okay, there you go. I'm right. Okay. How do you like that? I was actually right about something.
You were right.
Yes. Yeah, because that was Case Keenum when they went into Philadelphia.
I mean, this is
murdered.
A little bit of a fake news, kind of, because the 2013 they're counting as a loss on this website, but I'm assuming that's the game where RG3 got hurt and he had to come in because he only threw 10 passes.
2013. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, because that was right. That was the year after the Giants won the Super Bowl.
Then they got whooped by the Packers. He was a starter in Washington. Then he beat the Saints, and then the next week after he beat the Saints, they got demolished by the San Francisco 49ers in 2020, which I believe that's the year the Niners lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
So I'm going to say 1-2 in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, if that's the criteria that they're using, they're giving him the loss for the RG3 game, and that's not really fair.
Bob Brady, wouldn't it be great if Brady lost his final game at the Link? Yeah, sure, as long as he loses. Look, I mean, I'll bring him in. Bring Brady and that stinky Tampa team to the Link. I'm all for it. Our poll question was, are the Giants the most dangerous opponent for the Eagles in the divisional round? I think yes. Because Dallas is going to choke, whether it's against Tampa or against whoever they play in the divisional round. They're going to lay an egg in one of those two games. And the Giants will really be playing with house money if they come to Philly.
Exactly.
In the divisional round.
Yeah, I mean, nobody is expecting them to get there. I mean, I think we want them to get there, but I mean, again, I think the Giants can beat the Vikings if the Giants play smart and they don't turn the ball over. I think they can beat them, but it's not a given for sure. I mean, I don't think if they lose, it's going to be a close game. I think they'll give them a fight, but if they get to that game, hey, see, look at this, he's wide open.
Blown coverage in the natty.
TCU.
10-0 Georgia. Georgia couldn't punch it in.
Nope, and it's 10-0, and now TCU's on the 10-yard line. The little engine that couldn't. they're in there battling. That's for sure. Good for them.
Joshua checking us out on YouTube. I like the Bucks matchup as long as Gannon plays press coverage. I mean, okay, he's probably not going to play press coverage. It sounds like Jonathan Gannon might be the coach of the Houston Texans soon, and
yeah, I heard Martindale is going to be the coach of the Cardinals. Unfortunately, which would really suck. By the way,
are the Texans not such a scumbag, loser, crumb organization? They suck.
Yeah, always have been. They do everything in their power.
But I mean,
they do everything in their power. Every time they get good, they do everything in their power to dismantle their team.
They've totally manipulated the Rooney Rule, and they've made a mockery of it. This is why the Rooney Rule doesn't work. And I'm all for African Americans and all colors and creeds and races and religions to get a fair opportunity to be a coach in the NFL and across all jobs in America. But the Houston Texans have made a mockery of the Rooney Rule. They hired David Cooley, who was an underqualified head coach. He wins, 2 or 3 games, maybe even 1 game, I forget, and they can him. Then they bring in Lovie Smith, and they stink. Like Lovie Smith, Bill Belichick, Jesus Christ himself wasn't going to turn the Houston Texans into a playoff team this year. No. Or any semblance of anything anywhere close to a playoff team this year. So they have him for 1 year. So they hired 2 African Americans in 2 consecutive years, and they can't.
They get 2 extra third round picks.
Correct. I think that's how that works, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, I think that's the reason why they went with Lovie.
So they're manipulating the Rooney Rule and firing these guys after 1 year. Now they can pretty much do whatever they want in their coaching search because they can say, nope, can't say we're not woke. Can't say we're not woke down here in Houston. Last 2 head coaches have been African Americans.
Well, you could have actually picked.
You didn't give them a fair shot at all.
No, and first of all,
they're a bunch of losers. And how about Lovie Smith sticking it up their ass, going for 2, and costing them the first overall draft pick, which now goes to the Chicago Bears?
So you know what?
Okay, I'm on the hot seat after 1 year. Okay, here, we're going to win this game against the Colts, and now you're going to pick second and maybe not get the quarterback that you not have the pick of the litter of the quarterback. Good for Lovie Smith.
Well, I'm going to say
they
this.
Suck. The Texans suck. I hope they're never good.
Lovie Smith had them playing hard. You know, they didn't get blown out every week. You know, they put up a good battle against Dallas. They put up a good battle against you guys. You know, they gave the Giants.
Here you go, Lovie. We're gonna give you a chance.
Yeah,
we're gonna be woke. We're gonna be woke and give an African American an opportunity.
Yeah,
by the way, you have no skill players, you have no defense, and Davis Mills is your quarterback. And if you're not any good, you're getting canned after 1 year. So we have free reign to do whatever we want in this year's coaching search because they can fall back on hiring 2 African-American coaches as their last 2 head coaches. They suck.
Yeah.
I mean, they suck. The Houston Texans,
they're a shitty excuse for an organization. They don't want to pay
That's not how you're supposed to honor the Rooney Rule.
Well, they also don't want to pay anybody either, Rob. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins trading him for literally nothing. I mean, I
forgot about that. That was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to pay anybody. They're cheap. You know, the only guy they wanted to pay the only guy they ever paid was J.J. Watt. That's it. Other than that, they've been a cheap, crappy organization.
But I mean, like, that's embarrassing. So you're gonna have 3 coaches on your payroll next year? If I were Jonathan Gannon or Shane Steichen, the Eagles' offensive and defensive coordinator, respectively, in case you're living under a rock, were both granted that the Texans are seeking permission to interview both of them during the bye week. If I'm those 2, I'm good, man. Thanks.
Yeah, if I were them,
I'd go. But no thanks.
If I were them and the Cardinals called, I would be answering the phone.
Oh, the Cardinals for sure.
Yeah, the Cardinals have some talent. They're not that bad. They had a lot of injuries this year.
Yeah, you just got to figure out what's up with Kyler, and if you can make.
Yeah,
do
but
with
you know
him.
what? I think
If I'm D'Amico Ryans, Raheem Morris, Harbaugh, Sean Payton, any of these people, any of these candidates looking for a job, no thanks. No thanks, Houston.
No,
I'm good.
Sean Payton is absolutely not going there.
I think you understand the point that I'm trying to make.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, the only guys that'll go there are some college coach that
you're going to give me some shit roster, and if I don't make chicken salad out of chicken shit,
in
you're
1
just
year,
going to fire me.
Yeah, in 1
so I'll
year.
just stay with the Eagles or the Rams or the Niners as a big-time coordinator and bide my time until an organization that isn't run by a scumbag. What's his name? Bob McNair? Scumbag.
Yes,
Bob McNair.
Absolutely. Ridiculous.
Until a job not run by a scumbag opens up, and I'll take that job. No thanks, Houston.
Who do you think is going to end up coaching the Colts? That's a good one. That should be interesting.
I don't know. D'Amico Ryans. I would hire D'Amico Ryans. If I needed a coach, I think D'Amico Ryans would be at the top of my list. It's interesting what McVay is going to – there's another crumb. Sean McVay. That's another thing I forgot to mention. If I have –
Yeah, now he's going to step away now because the Rams aren't good anymore?
So
they finally
Florio comes on before the Sunday night game between the Lions and the Packers, which is a perfect segue into my next rant and rave about one Aaron Rodgers. Mike Florio comes on and he's like, yeah, McVay, his future's uncertain in Los Angeles. Not because he's burnt out or wants to be on TV. He won a Super Bowl, and now he's facing a rebuild because all their guys are getting older, and they traded all their draft picks to win that Super Bowl. He doesn't want to put the work in a rebuild. Huh? Excuse me? So you're just going to take your championship and leave?
After 1 year, you can't retool?
Now, Mike Florio blows, and a lot of what he says is just complete nonsense. So I
could believe that with him though.
Yeah, but this is the same Mike Florio that said they were going to add a playoff team in each conference because of the Damar Hamlin situation, which makes no fucking sense on any planet and doesn't solve one goddamn thing.
And by the way,
with respect to the Damar Hamlin situation,
what they did was really ridiculous. Why on earth can't the AFC have Buffalo and Cincinnati play this week and just move the playoffs back 1 week? What is the big deal? Why do they have to insist on 2 weeks off for the Super Bowl? I mean, the AFC, what's the difference if the AFC has to play with 1 week less? I don't think that's good. I don't think that would make that big of a difference. I mean, what they did was they basically they let the Golden Boy get home field and have his rest. That's not right. And boy, I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm pissed off that they screwed Buffalo. But boy, if I was a Cincinnati fan,
how did they screw Buffalo?
Because you don't know if Buffalo was going to lose that game. First of all, Buffalo was the 1 seed. Okay.
If anything, Buffalo. Well, you're right. Buffalo may or may not have beaten the Bengals.
Yeah, if Buffalo beat the Bengals, they would have been the 1 seed.
But I don't understand how the Bengals I don't understand how the Bills get screwed.
Because they didn't have a chance. If they would have won, they would have been the number 1 seed.
Yeah, but Brad, if the Bills and the Chiefs are in the AFC Championship game, it's on a neutral field.
Okay. But if it's in Buffalo, I know Buffalo is going to beat them.
It's a neutral site.
I
realize between the Chiefs.
That.
If the Chiefs and the Bills play in the AFC Championship game, it's on a neutral field.
Yeah, but
advantage Buffalo there because Patrick Mahomes has never played a playoff game outside of Arrowhead.
Okay,
so they didn't have to make up the game, and they got the benefit of the doubt. Meanwhile, the Bengals are getting the bat shoved up their ass 6 ways to Sunday because thank God they won the game because the Bengals could have been a division champion and potentially, if they lost that stupid coin flip that they decided on, not hosted a playoff game,
And that would
and
have been a sin. If that happened.
they would have gotten a lower draft pick than the Ravens, and they would have drawn a first place schedule. So they would have gotten none of the advantages of winning a division and all the disadvantages.
Well, they got screwed the most, but I still think Buffalo got screwed too, because Buffalo, you don't know Buffalo was good just because they were down 7-3 and Cincinnati was moving the ball on the
they don't have to go to Arrowhead, so they rectified that.
Yeah, but you know what? Buffalo earned that home field by beating Kansas City, and so did Cincinnati for that matter. Kansas City lost 2 of their 3 losses were against Buffalo and Cincinnati. So
yeah, but the problem is that they didn't lose to anybody else, and the Bengals started slow.
Yeah, I know. And Buffalo had a little slump in the middle of the
season.
Yeah, and Buffalo lost 2 horrendous games to the Jets and Vikings. So, and you know that's the way it goes. I guess, but I still would have rather have seen them play the game. I don't think it would have been that big of a deal for them to play the game and just move their playoffs back 1 week.
Talk about blown coverage on the national championship game.
Oh my God! Seriously, you and I could have caught that one.
Looks like we got a little shootout here in the national championship game.
I mean, he was that's embarrassing for somebody to be that wide open. That guy, it doesn't happen to be related to Phil McConkey from the Giants back in the day. I wonder.
I don't know.
Yeah, the Giants used to have a guy, Phil McConkey, who played in the 86 and 90 teams. I wonder if that guy. I bet he is. Probably like a grandson or something like that. I wouldn't be surprised.
Reggie versus Salas. Dak stinks, and honestly, the Giants are playing better than the Cowboys right now. I actually agree with the poll. I agree with the poll, too. Thanks for tuning in, Reggie. Spells is in the house. Ravens, he got hurt. Taylor came in. Barkley was quarterback. I guess that's the game Jones got hurt against the Ravens.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, Taylor came in, and then he got a concussion because he tried to dive for extra yardage, and somebody almost took his head off. And Barkley finished the game at quarterback. It was the Ravens. Thanks, Sean. I thought it was the Ravens. I mean, sometimes you get confused with all those home games because they were all basically the same game all season. But that was an interesting game. That game.
Vlad the Impaler, think if the Eagles would have lost their week off if they played against starters. I mean, okay, like they didn't though, and they have the week off, and they are the 1 seed.
And you know what? And believe me,
Giants, happy, Philadelphia.
The Giants were more than happy to rest their players. They weren't worried about the game. So what's the difference? Who would have thought that would have happened anyway? You know, what's the difference? You're getting the week off. You know, everybody else has to play except you. So relax. You know, take a week off, do your scouting, and and then you can take your argument to us next week about who's about who you think they're going to play. You know, whoever they play.
Sean Spellman. Eagles offense in trouble if they can't have the offense they run. Big trouble.
I agree.
We're going to see how healthy Jalen can get over these 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think he did himself any favors playing yesterday, by the way. But
that's the hand the Eagles were dealt, and they did what they had to do, and they had to play their best players and get the bye week because that was mega important.
Yes.
Frank Vesby, good evening. The biggest threat for the Eagles to worry about is themselves. Can't have them take their foot off the gas.
I don't think it's a question of that. I just think it's a long season. It's hard to maintain that consistency and play at that kind of a level that they played at toward in the middle of the season for a whole season. That's hard to do. You know, you're going to have your up weeks and you're going to have your down weeks. You know, I mean, it's that simple.
Vlad the Impaler. If this is the best Hurts can play with his shoulder, they think they can compete against a team like the Niners if they make it that far. Niners are turning up besides their defense. I mean, if Jalen isn't an MVP candidate or plays like an MVP candidate, the Eagles aren't as good of a football team. And the Niners are a good football team as well. It's a collision course in South Philly. All roads lead to an NFC championship game in South Philadelphia, Niners and the Eagles.
I agree.
I think that
the Eagles have
to be
healthy. They have to be healthy when they play against San Francisco. San Francisco means business. And they've got San Francisco has a world of talent. I think their defense is a little bit better than Philadelphia's right now. They gave up like 60, 70 less points than the Eagles did. Obviously, I think Philadelphia's offense is better. Be a real tough game. And if the weather conditions are bad, I don't know who that would favor. That would be interesting because both teams really are at their best when they're running the football. So then it would really be an interesting game. That would be interesting because they both have outstanding running attacks. The Eagles have Sanders, obviously, and company, and 49ers have some pretty good running backs too. We have to count the guy they got from the Panthers. They're McCaffrey. I mean, they're loaded too, and Deebo Samuel will no doubt be ready to play in that game against the Eagles. So I mean, they're going to be. They should be fully healthy. You would hope the Eagles are fully healthy and let the best team win. I don't think that any of the teams that are playing, other than the 49ers and the NFC, are going to get out of the next round.
So Josh Sweat, according to Jake Friel, should be good to go in 2 weeks, which is big. He's a good player.
Oh, yeah, I agree. They need him.
Don 19. How about the Lions last night?
First off, your Lions looked great last night.
First off, I guess I shouldn't be baffled because it's been the story of his career, but I am just baffled at how unclutch Aaron Rodgers is. And no matter if it's Aaron Rodgers or the fans, every time he comes up small, it's always everyone else's fault besides Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was ass cheeks last night in a game at home again.
I think
as a favorite.
I think he's washed up. I mean, Rob, he can't move anymore. If you take a look, if you were watching him last night, he has no speed in it. He used to have speed. I mean, a lot of his game was his legs. He was able to get anytime he was in trouble in his prime. He'd run out of trouble and run for 10, 15 yards every time you put pressure on him. He can't do that anymore. He's not fast enough. He's slow now back there, and that was really a big part of his game. And, I think he just kind of flinged the ball up there and threw the ball up for grabs a few times. When it was late, it cost him. I mean, he just chucked the ball.
I mean, everyone wants to point at their defense. I mean, their defense gave up, 20 points?
Yeah, come on. Listen, the Lions were 32nd in the league against the run. Okay, and you have Aaron Jones. There's no excuse for you not to be able to run the football against them. Come on. And then on 4th and 1 on the 30-yard line on the second drive of the game, and you're going for it. What the hell was that? Why would you do that? Why would you risk
again?
That?
Like I'm just baffled at how unclutch Aaron Rodgers is, and it's never his fault. It's always everyone else. It's always everyone else's fault. This guy dropped this one. This guy fumbled this ball. Defense not good enough. Organization failed me. I'm not getting along with Matt LaFleur. I'm always been indifferent. I'm not really an Aaron Rodgers hater. I've always kind of been indifferent to Aaron Rodgers.
I've always liked Aaron Rodgers. I always liked watching him play. I
You know,
Yeah, I like watching.
Yeah,
I
he's
like watching
a
fun play.
weirdo. He's a different kind of cat, but I can put that
He's
aside.
weird,
But I mean,
who cares? So he's on the. I just enjoy watching him on the football field. I think he's always been a great quarterback. But you know what? He doesn't. He's only won one Super Bowl. And as great as he is, he's only won one Super Bowl. You
and
know,
like
and there's something to be said about every year. It's something.
Every year it's something.
Yeah,
every year he's got a big game at home as a favorite, and he can't get it done.
Yeah, what was the excuse last year against the 49ers?
The defense gave up even less points in that game.
Yeah,
it was cold and snowing.
A big deal.
It was cold and snowing, so he couldn't get it done.
He's played in the snow before.
And the special teams didn't get it done. How about, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago when Brady beat him at home and he was favored?
What about when the Giants won the Super Bowl in 2012 and they were 15-1 and the Giants came in and knocked him out in the second round? And then he was crying that he was crying in that game because he was rusty from missing a week because of the bye. He was crying about the bye. I remember that.
I mean, look, like, whatever, dude. I mean, you're a great player and you're going to the Hall of Fame, but I mean, look, I watched the Lions give up 38 points to a stinky Carolina Panthers team a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, the Lions,
and they're done. Seattle beats the Rams in overtime. Don's Lions out of playoff contention. You're at home. You're favored, and you can't beat that. You can't beat up on that stinky defense.
No,
and get it done and go to the playoffs and potentially do damage.
Give Dan Campbell some credit, though. He had those guys fired up.
I'll tell you what, if I'm the San Francisco 49ers, I'm glad that I'm playing the Seahawks and not the Lions.
Oh, me too.
and if I'm the Buffalo Bills, I'm really happy I'm playing the Dolphins and not the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Or the Patriots. Well, yeah, I'm glad I'm playing them, and they took care of the Patriots too. So
Patriots are played out. I'm not a Mac Jones guy.
No.
But Aaron Rodgers.
I will say this though about the Patriots though.
No, because you know what? And then we're gonna go through this Aaron Rodgers saga of, is he playing? I need to take time for my emotions. And then he's going to do exactly what Brett Favre did, which he hated, and hold the Packers hostage all offseason. You know what? If you want to bitch that your receivers can't catch the ball, which they have problems catching the ball, Christian Watson's merged as a pretty good player. But, you know, they don't have Devontae Adams because Rodgers, A, wanted his money, and every offseason he holds the Packers hostage about whether he's going to retire or play, or he wants to trade. He doesn't want to trade. He's coming, he's playing. Who knows? So Devontae Adams says, all right, I'm just going to go to Vegas, take my money, and play with my buddy, Derek Carr.
Yeah, I was going to say his buddy is Derek Carr. So that's
– and that didn't work out too good because now his buddy basically got kicked off the team.
Yeah, he's going to get traded. So
now Aaron Rodgers is going to play his weirdo games.
Who knows? He could end up with Oakland for all we know.
He could end up with Vegas. I think Miami is interesting.
Don't think Miami. I think Tua is going to be in Miami.
Tua might have to retire, man.
I don't think so. Not yet. I think he's going to. I think he'll come back.
He's got all these concussions, and his brain is going to be mush if he's not. Okay, for the purposes of the argument, let's say Tua retires for health reasons.
Okay, if he went to Miami, he'd have a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl.
Or would it be him coming up small? Because he wouldn't have many fingers to point around in Miami.
Yeah, well, he'd throw the ball to Taysom Hill. I mean, jeez. But I don't. I just think that he's washed. His biggest part of his game, the most dangerous part of his game, Rob, was not only could he pick you apart and score a touchdown in 25, 30 seconds, in a game. He used to do. Remember what Josh Allen does now when he gets the ball in the first half or at the end of a game when he gets the ball with 30 seconds to go. He always somehow gets it at least into field goal range and sometimes gets the damn ball in the end zone. Rodgers used to do that all the time too.
Yeah, and he had Jordy Nelson and Cobb when he was in his prime. And
he could also, when he got in trouble, he could also take the ball and run and get out of bounds and get a first down running. He can't do that anymore. He doesn't have the legs. Boy, this Bennett, you're right. Boy, can he run.
He's fast.
Man, he is.
I would take a late round flyer on him if I was in the draft.
Yeah, why not?
But like Aaron Rodgers,
fifth round, yeah, I would.
Like everybody wants to throw. Oh, I guess Aaron Rodgers receivers. He's supposed to catch the ball too. Well, guess what? When you want all your money and you want to hold your organization hostage at the expense of Davante Adams, guess what?
Yeah, he screwed the pooch.
You got to give these guys time to develop as football players. Yep. No one's Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs and an old Randall Cobb and Robert Tonyan are not going to replace what Davante Adams was. He's one of the best receivers in the whole league.
No, and you don't have Freeman anymore, and you don't have Adams. You know, as you said, Cobb is an old man now. He may not have the greatest receivers in the world, but you know what? As good as he is, he should be able to make those receivers better.
Aaron Rodgers wants to hold the Packers hostage. I mean, to the point where it costs him Davante Adams and not let anyone develop as a receiver around them.
Did Brady ever have great receivers other than the one year he had? The one year he had Moss, he was undefeated until the Super Bowl. You know, I mean, Brady for the most part never really had great receivers until he went to Tampa Bay. You know, or I mean, honestly, Tampa Bay had better receivers than New England never had, except the year that they had Randy Moss. But New England never had great receivers. It was Brady. Brady was just so good. Yeah, those guys would turn around, the ball would be right in their hands. He was deadly accurate. So I think,
I'm just over Aaron Rodgers. So what? Yeah. He's going to force his way to Miami or Vegas or
the Jets, maybe.
He ain't. If he's got no patience for Green Bay, you think he's going to have patience for New York?
Well, they're a good team though. If they're a quarterback away from being an elite team, in my opinion. They've got all the ingredients. They just don't have a quarterback.
He will go to the Jets.
I think he'd be a good. I think he'd do well with the Jets. But
I don't think that's a good. I don't think that's. It doesn't strike me as a good.
If I'm the Jets, honestly, I think they'd be better off.
I mean, Brad,
I think they'd be better off with Carr. Honestly, if I'm the Jets, I know you don't like Carr, but you know what? You put Carr on the Jets. At least he's confident. You know, they have
Aaron Rodgers in the Jets. I mean, he gets testy with the Green Bay media. Green Bay has like 6 people in the whole town.
Yeah, I know, and he'd have a problem.
What's he going to do with it when the New York Post is crawling up his ass after they start, 3-5?
And don't forget the Daily News too. They're pretty nasty too.
Whoever, they're all nasty.
New York. New York is the New York papers are rather vicious.
There's Stetson Bennett. Again, touchdown, cream, rising to the top.
Yeah, he
Stetson
walks.
Bennett, I believe that's pending the extra point, will be 24-7 Georgia.
Yeah.
Laying 13.
Yeah, I think you're in pretty good shape if you laid the 13. No doubt. No doubt.
Amen to that. That's Pete, our boy Pete. Check him out on Birds of a Feather. I don't know which rant he's saying amen to. I'm saying a lot of smart stuff tonight, so you can say amen to all of it. I don't know. I roasted the Texans. I roasted Sean McVay. I roasted Aaron Rodgers. Nope, not my fault. Not my fault. I lost as a favorite at home again. Don't like the coach. We don't get along. Receivers are too young. Defense isn't good enough. No one supports me.
The last few years, we can go back. The Saints, the 49ers, and now the Lions. All at home.
Lucas Oil Stadium said no to hosting the AFC title game. Why would they turn down all that revenue? I don't know. Well, you got to get you got to get to a Bills-Chiefs title game first.
Yeah.
Which the Bengals are going to have something to say about that.
Oh, they
And
absolutely
I think
will.
I think the Chargers are a live dog, dark horse in this AFC playoffs. I really do. I think Herbert's ready to take the next step and emerge as a big.
I think you're going to see. See now the other reason, Rob, that I think that Cincinnati and Buffalo really got screwed is because in the playoffs they're going to have to play each other while Kansas City doesn't have to deal with either one of them until the championship. And both Buffalo or Cincinnati
that was going to be the case anyway.
Not if Buffalo won the division. I mean, not if Buffalo got to play the game and win, or if Cincinnati won. Oh no, Cincinnati had 4 losses. If Buffalo won that game against Cincinnati, they would have had home fields throughout the playoffs, and they'd had the first.
Then you know what?
First place too. I mean, listen. They should.
I don't know what more you want. Both teams decided not. Both teams just kind of waved the white flag. We don't want to make it up. So they have only themselves to blame for that, with respect to the whole situation, which was terrible.
And I understand, and that I understand. But you know what the NFL should have said?
If they cared that much about that, they should have went to the NFL, pounded the table, and said, "No, we need to play the game."
No, but then
they could have went out on They could have went out on Thursday and played that football game.
The players' union went and started crying about it. They could have. Listen, they could have played their games.
But you can't have your cake and eat it too. And Buffalo got the best situation possible with waving the white flag and not making up the football game because they don't have to go to Kansas City.
Are they going to have to go to Cincinnati? No, they don't have to go to Cincinnati.
No, they don't have to go to Cincinnati. They're a 2 seed.
So Cincinnati actually got screwed the most.
Correct.
They got screwed the most. Well, they both got screwed. Let's be honest. Kansas City got the benefit, but you know what? The Players Association really didn't want them to play. So okay, that's
fine.
Deal.
Look, that's fine. If you're worried or you don't want to mess up the feng shui of the schedule, that's fine. But if you lose because you didn't play out the seeding by making up the game, I don't want to hear it. I'll tell you where it would be a good place to play, and you're going to laugh at this one, but I think Pittsburgh would be a good spot. Well, Brad, they're going to play indoors.
Huh?
They're going to play in a dome.
Oh, you think they have to play in the dome?
No, they don't have to play in a dome, but
I don't think they should. I think
if it's Buffalo versus Kansas City, they're putting that bitch in a dome.
Yeah,
stock and barrel.
Or they're going to
let Mahomes and Allen just zing.
Yeah, or they'll play in Miami. They'll play in Miami, or they'll play in.
No doubt about it, warm weather situation.
Yeah, New Orleans maybe. They could play in California. They could play in LA. That who knows?
I wonder. I mean, I guess it would depend if they have the 3 o'clock slot or the 6 o'clock slot.
Yeah.
This year.
We also,
it's going to be on the East Coast.
Yeah, Cincinnati plays with the Ravens, most likely. They play the Ravens, right?
They do play the Ravens, yes.
Okay, so is Lamar playing? That's the question.
I don't know. Yeah. Joseph Urkowski, we're going to do early leans here in a second and go through all the games for Super Wild Card Weekend. Is there any chance Avante plays in 2 weeks? I haven't heard anything, which usually isn't good. So, I mean, but C.J. Gardner-Johnson's back. C.J. Gardner-Johnson came back yesterday. He played fantastic. So that's fine. That issue's solved.
Wait until wait until next week. Wait until like next Wednesday, and then you'll start finding out who's going to play and who's not going to play. Right now, there's no reason to make commitments about anybody, to even talk about anybody, because you just don't know.
Don, I bet you do love it as a Lions fan. The Lions are coming. Because the Lions are going to have
next season. You know what they're going to have? I think they have what the 5th or the 6th pick in the draft or something.
They have
like
the Rams pick, who sucked.
Yeah, so they're gonna have like the 6th pick in the draft, they're gonna draft a monster to play defense. Okay, so They're going to do that, and all of a sudden, you know what? They're going to win that division next
They're
year.
going to get a guy playing for Georgia right now in the national championship game, and then they're going to pick, 15th?
Yeah.
Being the best team that didn't make the playoffs?
Yeah, so they're going to.
They're coming.
Yeah, absolutely. And how about Goff? Didn't see that coming.
703 Ebanks. Aaron Rodgers is not going to the Niners. Not happening. Jimmy G is an unrestricted free agent, so he can't be traded. Jimmy G, that's the Jets quarterback next year.
I don't think he moves the needle all that much for the Jets.
Yes, he does. Are you out of your mind? The guy's in the AFC Championship game NFC Championship game every year.
Is it always because of him, though?
You're telling me he doesn't move the needle more than Mike White, who, by the way, was cute for a while and stinks. Zach Wilson is a disaster, and Joe Flacco is 45 years old.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I'd rather have Carr or Rodgers.
Derek Carr stinks, man. Derek Carr stinks, and he's coming with that contract that's ridiculous.
Well, his contract extension, that's true. I think if they have 5 days after the Super Bowl to trade him, where the contract, and then the contract extension comes in. So you really want to be stuck with him for 4 years? Probably not.
Rob, I think Mike Williams is hurt. I mean, surprise, receiver for the Chargers. He's always hurt. He got X-rays on something and they were negative, so we'll see if he can play.
What about their star wide receiver?
Who?
Didn't he get hurt yesterday?
Keenan Allen?
Yeah, didn't he get hurt yesterday?
I don't know. I was at the Eagles game yesterday, so I'm kind of.
Okay, I thought I heard that he got hurt too.
Well, I'll have to look at the injuries before I.
Yeah, I thought I heard that he was in the tent. They had him in the tent. I don't know what happened, but I heard he was in the tent. So.
He had a good game. Keenan Allen.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't him. I thought I heard that.
I mean, their coach is just a boob, so we'll see if Doug can get it done. Tyler Coletti, Final Four in the NFL. I think it's going to be the Eagles and the Niners in the NFC. I don't really see what can happen to derail.
Kansas City probably, and Buffalo in the AFC.
I'm going to take Cincinnati.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if Cincinnati would beat them in Buffalo. Although Cincinnati does play outside in lousy weather too, so I suppose that it's not as big as an advantage as it could be.
All right, let's go through the games. Let's do early leans. Early leans brought to you by Gleason's Bar and Grill, 6700 Mill Creek Avenue, Levittown, Pennsylvania. Dine in, take out, online, doesn't matter. A2D promo code gets you 10% off. There's Gleason'sBarandSteaks.com. Check them out if you're ever up in my neck of the woods of Bucks County. Also brought to you by Allen C. Travel, specializing in creating the vacation of your dreams at Disney, Universal, or wherever your heart calls you. Let their talented team of travel experts create a custom vacation for you. As Max Duggan throws an interception in the natty, just overshoots his receiver. So that's 2 turnovers already for Georgia.
Yeah, this game is getting ugly in a hurry.
It's a day late and a dollar short. Yep. The SEC is just different.
It sure is. I mean, they're almost like a minor league football team for the NFL. It's like their farm system, and they get all their best players from that league.
Let's get these lines up here. I really haven't looked at the lines yet. I would assume that the 2-7 matchups are big lines. NFL. All right. So Saturday, 4:35, first game, Seahawks, Niners. You want to take a guess, Brad, at what the line is?
I'm going to say 8.
Seattle's getting 10
Okay.
in San Fran.
Yeah, I didn't want to give
Division
too
game.
rough on them, but that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot. 10.
I think the Niners advance.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to cover though.
I think Seattle shows up.
Yeah, that's a lot of points.
Division dogfight used to be a fierce rivalry. Geno Smith is playing for his next contract.
Well, what I'd like to know is what were the scores of the two games they played when they played each other? Were they both close or were they routes? Let's look that up. 49ers.
I got it. I'll get it for you.
Okay.
I think I have it right here. Full list on ESPN.com. So back in week 2, Seattle went to San Fran 27-7. The Niners.
Seattle beat them?
No.
No, they lost. Okay. So they beat them by 20, and then they went to Seattle a couple of weeks ago. And
yeah, remember when the Niners lost to the Bears in week 1?
Yes. Trey Lance played that game.
That was crazy.
Yep.
Did the Bears start like 2-0 or 3-0 or 3-1?
Yeah, they got off to a promising start,
and
they lost every game.
And they went 1-14 the rest of the way and have the first pick in the draft. Can't wait to see how they're going to screw that up.
Oh, but they will. Wonder if they
suck too. The Bears.
I wonder if they trade it since they've already got their quarterback.
I wouldn't trade. I would just take Will Anderson from Bama. He's a freak. But the Bears will screw. I mean, this is a team that traded the first pick in the second round at the trade deadline for Chase Claypool.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot that.
Woof.
Yeah, that was dumb.
Second game was a Thursday game in Week 15. The Niners won that football game 21-13.
Okay, so that was a relatively close game.
I think that's a better
indicator.
That's a better litmus test on how this game's going to go because Purdy played and Christian McCaffrey was on the team.
Yeah, I would think that 10 points is a lot. I think Seattle will show up and give them a fight, but they're not going to win.
I totally agree. I think it's like a 24-17 type of game.
When you have division opponents playing each other, it's always nasty. So I mean, Cleveland and not Cleveland. I'm sorry, the Ravens.
And I know the Niners. I know the Niners have like a really good defense, but Geno's had a good season. Lockett's back. Metcalf, pretty good running back. Bunch of young hungry dogs. Bunch of rookies on that defense. I think Seattle shows up.
I think they show up. I don't think they're winning, but I think that they.
I agree. I'm
taking
10.
I'll take the 10. I'll take the 10 points.
I'll take 10. Saturday night, really fun matchup. Chargers visiting Duval, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Herbert and Trevor Lawrence, two premier young quarterbacks. The Chargers are 1-point favorites on the road in Jacksonville.
Chargers should win that game. Chargers are a better team.
I really like the Chargers here. I think the Jags are – look.
It's going to be Herbert's coming out – Herbert, not that he needs a coming out party, but Herbert is really good.
No, because I think he's hidden out there on the West Coast.
Yeah, well, the whole world is going to see just how great he is.
His coach
he's
isn't
phenomenal.
His coach isn't good. I think the only reason that they're in this position is because of Herbert. I mean, Don, I don't really care that Mike Williams isn't playing. The Chargers, they have Palmer, they have DeAndre Carter, they have tight ends, they have Eckler. I don't know. I feel like the Jaguars, I think this time next year, I think we'll be talking about Trevor Lawrence maybe disrupting some shit in the AFC playoffs. But this year, I think it's Herbert.
Yeah,
Herbert.
I agree.
So
I agree. Although I'll tell you what, that Christian Kirk really, really had a good year this year for them.
Look, and it's amazing. Like,
I mean,
the Jaguars
he changed the whole chemistry of that offense.
The Jaguars went from one of the worst run organizations to one of the best run organizations in 2 years.
Well, because the owner finally spent some money.
Yeah, they got the former Niners GM. They spent a bunch of money, and they spent smart money on guys that would actually fit their system. Mm-hmm. They hired Doug Peterson, and they drafted Trevor Lawrence.
Yep, and they're definitely on the way up too. And based on what we've seen out of that division, they're going to own that division for a while.
That's my Saturday lock right there. The Chargers -1.
Yeah, I love the Chargers that game.
Should be some points in that game.
I would say
the Chargers are better
a lot
on
of points. The Chargers are going to score a lot of points. I really think that
Chargers just have a better defense.
Yeah, I agree.
And Bosa's back now.
Tampa Bay's offense is not Tampa Bay. What am I saying? Jacksonville's offense is not all that yet, though. I mean, they're better. They're better than they were last year, and
Lawrence is really
gotten better. They gotten better as the season's gone along. You know, Lawrence basically won a playoff game last week, so you got to give him credit for doing that.
They need to get ETN and their running backs going. They got to have balance.
Yes, they do.
Because the Chargers are going to have balance because Eckler's a stud.
Yeah, the Chargers have it all, and Herbert. I love Herbert. I love watching him play. I think he's a terrific quarterback. So I don't know if they're going to be able to. Listen, the Titans. The Titans gave it all they have, but they're just not good. The Chargers have a better team. As long as they don't beat themselves, they're going to win this game. And if they only have to spot 1 point, that means all they got to do is win. I mean, the worst you could do is push if the Chargers win.
Yeah, it's true. It's basically a pick'em.
Yeah.
With slim possibility that you push.
Yeah, I mean,
unless it moves. It's
Jacksonville's home field advantage is not that big. Okay, it's not like you're going to Kansas City. Okay, it's Jacksonville,
and they're playing at night, so the time change shouldn't affect the Chargers either.
No.
All right, moving on to Sunday, the Dolphins going to Buffalo.
That's going to be a rout.
The Bills laying 10.5. I'm
That's
laying
all?
it all. That's all.
That's all.
Who's still
Miami's quarterback again?
Who knows? Who knows? I can't imagine Tua's playing. I mean, he's gotten 3 concussions in the season.
He's not playing. He's not going to play.
There's probably going to be that guy, Skylar Thompson.
Oh my God! Yeah, he's going to.
And if you only score 11 points against the Bills, you're getting smoked.
Yeah. That's going to be ugly. And the Jets. Don't forget, the Jets didn't have Quentin Williams the last 4 games of the season, so their defense was compromised a little bit by not having those guys, by not having him, and they held him to 11 points. I mean, Miami's going to have to score 30 to beat Buffalo. I don't see them scoring 30 points. Not with that quarterback.
And Tyreek Hill, I mean, he left the game against the Jets. Little ankle sprain.
Yeah, but you know what? He'll try to play. You know that.
I just don't.
It doesn't matter. They're gonna get killed. They're not going to stop Buffalo. That's the problem. And they're not going to be able to score a lot either. Buffalo has a bad day, they'll score 30 points. Okay, if they have a good day, they could score 40.
Your G-Men, Sunday 4:40. This is the game that I'm really looking forward to the most.
No, obviously I am too. I think the Giants have a
and the
legitimate
Vikings.
shot. I think the Giants have a what's the line, like 4?
3.
3. Okay.
The
So they gave
Vikings are getting the home field courtesy of 3 points, and that's it.
So if they're only getting 3 points that means that they think the teams are even.
The Vikings are a minus 165 on the money line. That seems high for a 3-point spread.
Yeah,
I like the Vikings. I do, with respect to your team, and I hate the Giants, but I try and be objective. I do think the Vikings get this done. I know that they had problems, and they got routed by Dallas and Green Bay
and Detroit at home. Well,
I think Cousins at home.
Well, the Vikings are usually a better team at home than they are.
I think that money line is pretty telling.
Yeah, that's interesting that they don't want to spot the points, but they're just going to pound them to try to pound them. They're pounding them to win.
Like the example, so the Cowboys are favored by 3, but you can't really look at that because Dallas is on the road.
Yeah, but what's the money line on Dallas?
Minus 150.
That's pretty high too.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I want to pick against Dallas. I don't know if I can. I just think it's a terrible matchup for Tampa Bay.
Well, the Giants. I think the Giants are going to win the game. I think Minnesota's defense is horrible. For a team that won 13 games, or how many did they win? 13, 14, something like that. For a team that won that many games, I think they were outscored, weren't they, this season?
It was close.
Points for and points against. I want to check that really quick because that's.
Well, they beat the Bears pretty good yesterday, so that probably put them over. Here, I have it right here.
Okay.
I think.
NFL standings. Okay. Okay, the Vikings scored 424 and they gave up 427. I mean, you're 13-4 and you're outscored.
So they didn't, yeah. So that Green Bay blowout put them behind.
That's not
exactly. The Giants are the same. The Giants are at -6 though.
Okay, I can understand that because they were 9-7. They were 9-7-1.
I get it. The Vikings have problems, but the Giants.
Yeah, but that's basically all one game though. Yeah, that was the first Eagle game. I mean, they lost by 26 points. So if you look at it, if you take one game
20?
away, yeah, but that plus 20 is about right.
Yes, I mean, I think you're splitting hairs.
You are.
I'm gonna with this game. Like, it's really that close. Georgia goes in again. It's going to be 31-7.
Yep.
Approaching halftime here. This is a laugher in the national championship game. Probably only going to get worse in the second half.
Yeah. Thanks, Michigan. Thanks, Harbaugh. You're making us turn the damn game off already.
But I am. It's like Barkley's going to have to go off for the Giants to win.
And he very well could.
Totally feasible because
Minnesota gave up. I think Minnesota gave up more points than the Giants this year. Let me check. Let's see. The Giants gave up 371 points, and the Vikings gave up 427. So the Giants had a better defense. Obviously, Minnesota's got a better offense, and Minnesota has a better offense. They got Dalvin Cook, and they've got with a good offensive line, and Barkley has a mediocre offensive line, and they got Justin Jefferson, and the Giants don't have any receivers that are even.
I'm going to lean slightly towards the team that I trust throwing the football more.
Well, that
and
would be
that's the
Minnesota.
Vikings.
That would be Minnesota, and that's why they're favored. But I'll go with the Giants. I know it's being a homer, and I don't know. If I think the Giants have a 50-50 shot to win this game. But I think if they start turning the ball over, then they're dead. But they haven't done it all season, so hopefully that won't happen tomorrow. Or rather on Saturday. You know, Daniel Jones, I think, only threw 5 interceptions this year. So that should tell you.
Can Daniel Jones potentially win a shootout?
Well, he did put up. I mean, I know the Colts stink. I understand that, but they did put up 38 points in that game, and
They had
he
two
threw the
pick
ball
sixes in that game.
One Collins. So they scored. Daniel Jones still put up 31 points.
So yes, you think?
I listen. The last time they played Minnesota,
That's a game I'm gonna.
They put 24 up last game. And in the second half, the Giants basically scored touchdowns in 3 of their last 4 drives. They couldn't stop. They couldn't stop. Well, they did stop him at the end. I mean, the guy had to kick a 61-yard field goal to win the game. A 61. That's a long kick,
True.
Rob. I mean, how many guys kick 61-yard field? I guarantee you, if that game was in Giant Stadium, that there's not going to be a 61-yard field goal in December with those wins.
True.
You know,
I'm going to pick the Vikings right now.
It is a dome game, so that's advantage Vikings for sure.
I don't know. It's something we're going to have to monitor all week.
Yep, that's going to be an interesting game. Look, most likely the Vikings will probably win, but the Vikings are the one team that I think the Giants have a realistic shot to beat. Out of all the teams that made the playoffs, if the Giants had to go to Seattle, they got spanked when they went to Seattle. They lost by 2 touchdowns. Richie James fumbled twice in that game, and that cost them the game. If they had to go to San Francisco, they get destroyed. I have no faith in them going into Philadelphia and winning either. Okay, so now Dallas, I don't think he can win in Dallas either. Tampa Bay, I don't think they could beat Tampa Bay. Minnesota, yeah, I think they could beat Minnesota because Minnesota's defense stinks. I think they'll score some points against them.
Sunday night, the Bengals will host the Baltimore Ravens. I think it's 6.5, the line.
6.5, and we do not know if Lamar is playing.
I don't care. I actually like the Bengals more if Lamar plays. So I don't think he's going to be 100%.
Yeah, but half of Lamar is better than what they got now.
True. Joe Burrow's just a G. He's a winner. Wow, Max Duggan.
He's exceptional. Oh boy. Did
George
they just get another interception?
George is going to get more points before the half.
So it's going to be 38-7 now. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean the Chargers, they're my lock for Saturday. Bengals are my lock for Sunday. I'll gladly lay the 6.5. I just don't think the Ravens can score with them.
Well, I'm going to reserve judgment until I see who the quarterback is.
I don't
know.
If Lamar is there,
if Lamar is quarterbacking, I think the Ravens are. It's going to be a very close game. I think the Ravens will cover, and they might win the game outright.
Lamar coming in cold like that with a bum knee.
It depends on how bad his knee is. If he can't run, and he can't protect himself, then he can't play. And if that's the case, the Ravens are done. They have no shot.
I'm not really worried about it, no matter who's playing.
Well, keep in mind now the Ravens did beat them the first time they played in Baltimore. So it's not like it's impossible.
Nothing's impossible. We're talking about these games. Like, these games are razor thin.
Yeah.
We're talking about them with the spread right now, which is even harder.
Right.
But even if you're picking them straight up, I mean, the only one I would really, really, really pound the table and say I'm 1,000% confident in is the Bills are going to beat the Dolphins.
Yeah, and the line was what, 10?
10.5.
10.5. So yeah, the Bills are going to kill them.
There's the touchdown for Georgia. 38.
He was in bounds?
Yeah, you only need the 1 foot in college.
I thought the football came down out of bounds though. I guess he got the ball. Let's see. They're going to show it again.
No,
I was sort of watching it and not watching it. Let's see. Nah, he's in. Yeah, he's in. I kind of looked up at the end, right at the end, and saw the play.
So then our slot Monday night, Dallas, Tampa.
That should be a good game.
Dallas 3-point road favorites. This is not a good matchup for Tampa Bay. But it's an interesting game because Dallas always chokes. Mike McCarthy stinks. And Tampa
how often does Dallas win a playoff game?
And Tampa's
got one thing Tampa has is the GOAT, and the GOAT has the DNA to win a playoff game. A home playoff game.
Does Dallas?
Well,
I don't know.
Dallas always finds a way to lose playoff game.
Right now at 9:15 on Monday, when the game's being played Monday, I can't get myself past that Tampa Bay's offensive line stinks, and Dallas's pass rush is pretty good.
Yeah, the only good offensive lineman they have is Wirfs, and wasn't he banged up yesterday?
Who?
Wirfs. Tristan Wirfs. Didn't he get banged up yesterday?
I don't know.
I thought I heard that he got banged up too. So I mean, again, all these guys are banged up by the end of the season. So I guess it's the degree of can they actually play.
Dak does stink.
Dak has been terrible. It's been terrible the last few weeks.
So,
but then he pulls out a game.
But then he'll go out on Monday night and play really good, and then everyone will think he's great.
Yeah, because he had one great game against the Eagles, but then all the other games he sucks. So what's the deal? Who's going to show up? He's not playing the Eagles at home this week, so we'll just have to see.
Stinks on the road. They stink on the road. Dallas stinks on the road.
Oh, they do. They do. So
if you just look at talent, like Dallas should cream them.
Talent-wise, they should. I mean, but what was the excuse when they lost 19-3 in Tampa Bay the first time they played? I know it was a long time ago.
That was in Dallas, I think. That was in Dallas.
Was it in Dallas?
I'm pretty sure.
It was in Dallas. You're right. They beat them 19-3. I know it was a long time ago, but it's still the same. What was
Cowboys fans and Dak Prescott supporters? They got a Rolodex of excuses for Dak.
Yeah, I know they do. Instead of just looking at it that he's inconsistent, and teams that are inconsistent are scary to bet on. That's all I can say.
But Dallas should cream this team. Tampa's not good.
I know, but you know what? Dallas has not been well coached for a long time.
Maybe Dallas loses, and then they get Sean Payton.
You know what? If that's the case, I just as soon see them win and then get demolished by Philadelphia or San Francisco. That way,
I think it's very real possibility that no matter what happens, Sean Payton's the coach of the Cowboys next year.
Yeah, Metal Mike wants to know: is Dak a horrible quarterback though?
He's not horrible.
He's not horrible. I mean, he is a franchise quarterback, but he's very inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get from week to week with him right now.
It seems like he plays really good in Jerry World and then really stinks outside of Jerry World.
Yeah, and that was a terrible loss yesterday to the Commanders. I mean, you'd think that Dallas would want to win the game and put the pressure on the Eagles. I'm sure if you're the Eagles, and then you look up and you keep seeing you keep seeing Washington scoring and getting a
the
bigger and
Eagles
bigger,
would have
bigger
been
lead.
Eagles would have been the number 2 seed.
Right. Right. And
Like Dallas clinched the division for them, and then the Niners beat the piss out of the Cardinals, and if the Eagles did stub their toe against the Giants, you would be the number 2 seed and have to play the Seattle Seahawks at the Link,
who they would beat anyway.
Which they would beat. They would probably
they
win,
would beat
but
them. They would beat them. Seattle is very good at home. They're not good on the road.
So someone asked, who's your final 4 in the NFL? We sort of touched on it, I think. I think it's going to be the Eagles and the Niners and the Bengals and the Chiefs.
Yeah, the only difference between Rob and I is that I think the Bills are going to be in the final 4.
And I think it's going to be the Eagles and the Bengals in the Super Bowl. I've kind of been saying that. I've kind of been saying that for 2 months, so I'm just going to stick with it.
I'd be going San Francisco and Buffalo in the Super Bowl.
All right, Brad, last topic of the night before we get out of here. I wish we had a better football game.
Yeah, it's awful.
To check out, too.
And again, you know what? Jim Harbaugh, you suck.
You think he coaches? I wouldn't hire him.
To coach my football team?
The NFL?
Well, now that I actually have a coach on my football team, I wouldn't want him because I'm happy with Dable.
Oh, you hit a slam. You hit a grand slam. Guy's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Giants have their coach now. So, but as far as him coaching, he's going to want to coach. He's going to want to coach a ready-made winner. He's not going to a loser.
Well, what ready-made winner fires the coach? You're going to a project.
A team that feels that they underperform, like Washington, maybe. I mean, is it Rivera in hot water?
Not fired yet.
Nah,
not fired yet. The only coach, unless I missed something, the only coach that got fired today was Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, and Lovey got fired last night. But there's going to be somebody's going to bite the dust tomorrow. I mean, I was.
Then you have all those interim guys.
Yeah, I was checking in all day, quite honestly, Rob, waiting to see who is going to be next in the firing booth. I wonder if Green Bay's coach gets fired.
What's Aaron going to be, a player coach?
I
he won't be able to blame the coach anymore.
Coach Rodgers? I don't know.
All right, Phillies made a trade. Dombrowski continues to.
I like Soto. I think you guys did a good job.
Gregory Soto, former All-Star, closer experience. You trade a couple utility infielders.
I don't want to sound like a pessimist. The only thing I'm going to say, and I like Soto. I mean, I saw him in the American League. He's pretty good. He's got good stuff, and it's always good to have a good left-handed relief pitcher. That is absolutely fact.
Now they added Strom from Boston. They had Soto. They already have Alvarado. So now you got 3 lefties.
Yep, and that's always a good
bullpen.
thing. That's always a good thing. The only thing I'd be worried about with him is if you make him closer. There's a big difference between closing on a last place team like Detroit and closing on a pennant contender like Philly. It is a difference, And again, I'm sure we can all relate the fact that it is a lot harder to play in Philadelphia or New York or Boston compared to playing in Detroit, where the team stinks and they're a last place team and nobody's really paying attention.
Sure.
I have. I mean, we have all seen that before, especially out of relief pitchers. It's different. When you come to the East Coast, into the very difficult area that I just mentioned, there is a difference. There is a difference pitching here for sure, because if you blow one game, you're going to have to deal with it the next day. And every time you go to the mound, you're going to have to deal with that. You know, they're a little nicer when the team's already in last place and there's no expectations. But now everybody is going to be watching him. But I'll tell you what, I think he's a good acquisition. I think you guys did a good job bringing him in.
And you have options. If one guy sucks, you can go. Alvarado can potentially close.
Well,
Sir
I think
Anthony can close.
I think Sir Anthony. I think he's the guy you guys should make closer. Okay, I think he's that curveball that he has. I don't know, with that pitch that goes down like that. What does he call that pitch? Is that a splitter or a curveball? That one that goes straight down.
He's got a slider.
Okay, it's a slider then, but he's got
a slider fastball guy.
Yeah, that slider is absolutely deadly. If he gets it over the plate, or at least disguises it to make it look like a strike, he could be I could see him being unhittable when he's on top of his game. So I think he's going to be your closer, to be honest with you. And all the rest of the guys are going to be, the bridge to him.
Phillies are going to win a lot. I think the Phillies had the best offseason. The Yankees had a good offseason too. They bring back Judge and get Rodon, but
I would have liked to see them. I would have liked to have seen the Yankees try to bring in a left fielder. I understand what they're doing, though. They've got a kid. They got two kids actually in the farm system that are absolute phenoms in the Martian, Dominguez, and then they've got Pieria, who's another one that just who played half a season in Double-A and hit 17 home runs and hit like 290. So, yeah, in half a season at Double-A. So I get it. They got some guys. They got some guys, and they don't want to sign anybody to a long-term contract in the outfield because they've got guys coming up. I get that, and the guys that were signing 1-year contracts probably aren't worth the money. So that I understand. But I would have liked to have seen them get another bat. But if they're gonna give Cabrera a shot, I'm okay with that. He did a nice job last year playing left field. As long as I don't have to see Hicks, and as long as Donaldson plays third base, and Glaber plays second base, we're fine. I just don't want to see Donaldson or Hicks in the lineup next year.
And we have the Carlos Correa saga continues to
that contract still isn't
play out.
I wonder if the Mets are going to walk. I wonder if the Mets are going to walk away from him.
Apparently, he has no Achilles tendon. I don't know where it went or what he did with it or how he lost his Achilles tendon, but apparently he doesn't have an Achilles tendon. And the Giants and the Mets, and I would assume a lot of other teams are really concerned about it.
Yeah, you can't sign him.
First off, that's a blessing in disguise for the Giants to get out of that 13-year, $350 million deal. That's a Harper contract. He's not Bryce Harper. Sorry.
No.
He's not Trey Turner. He's not Bryce Harper.
He's a very good shortstop, but he's got he's brittle, and you don't know with him. He hasn't played a full season, and God knows how long.
The Mets are nuts to give him that money too.
Yeah,
I know they don't.
They may not.
They don't care at all about money because Uncle Stevie is just signs checks.
Yeah,
which good for him. If you got it, spend it. It's not my money. If you want to pay all that tax, that have a better chance to win a championship. Good for you.
Do you know that they're? I was reading the other day, their tax is going to be $112 million.
Yeah, that's probably more than half the league's payroll.
Yeah, I mean that's.
Like the A's and the Pirates.
You know what's funny is everybody, for years, all the Met fans were doing when the Wilpons owned the team were crying about how much money the Yankees spend. Okay, the Yankees still spend a lot of money, but Steinbrenner made a comment that I'm giving you to Cashman, I'm giving you $300 million this year. It used to be $200 million. I'm going to give you $300 million. You should be able to build a very, very good team with $300 million. And I kind of agree with him. I mean, there's no reason why you should have to spend more money than that. I mean, your team doesn't have a $300 million contract payroll.
No, they're over the tax, but like not
Yeah, but they're not at $300 million.
anything crazy.
No, you guys and the Yankees are pretty much the same payroll at this point.
And like, what is it? Like the Dodgers are still up there, right?
Yeah, but the Dodgers don't have a crazy aren't as crazy.
What is it? Mets, Dodgers, Phillies, Yankees,
or Yankees, Phillies, one or the other. I'm
But
not
the
sure.
Mets and the Mets and the Dodgers are.
The Mets and the Dodgers are the two highest, and I think the Yankees and Phillies are either one way or the other are third and fourth.
Would you give Trevor Bauer a chance, Brad?
Well, I don't know how he'd handle New York. I mean, can you imagine if he got smacked around a couple of times, the kind of shit he'd have to hear from the New York fans? The Yankee fans are really bad, Rob. Some of the things they yell.
I'll tell you what.
Who
he makes a lot of sense for is Baltimore.
Yeah, actually, you're not wrong.
Because Baltimore has all these hitters that are
pretty good
here.
Yeah.
And you got Grayson Rodriguez, who I guess is going to be ready. I'm not really sure who else. You can help me out with the rest of the rotation, but
well, they signed your guy.
Yeah, but he's
not that good.
Trevor Bauer is a way better talent.
Yeah, but they lost. I think Jordan Lyles was probably their most effective pitcher. He's gone now. Somebody signed. He got signed. I don't know what the deal is with John Means. I mean, obviously he's going to probably come back and pitch this year. But they kind of most of their pitchers that they had last year are gone now. I mean, they ran out of options. So
here, I have their lineup right here. I like their everyday lineup.
Oh, their everyday lineup is pretty good. But I've heard that they're willing to trade Santander for pitching.
They only have 4 starters listed on RotoChamp: Kyle Gibson, Kyle Bradish, Dean Kremer, and Tyler Wells. Oof.
Oh, Kremer and Wells are pretty good.
So why not? Why not trade? Why not give Bauer a shot? Like he's not going to cost you that much. He's getting all that money from the Dodgers.
I know. The question is, how will the fans take it? They might be okay with it in Maryland. They may not care. I think there's a lot of cities that
look. He has questionable character and makes bad decisions. He didn't commit a crime.
No,
he got found not guilty.
From what I heard, he and Cole were competitive, but love pitching against each other in college. Cole would be okay with it, but I don't see the Yankees doing that. I don't know that they would. I don't know if they would go for a guy like that. That's not really their style. You don't see them, getting guys that have questionable character on their team. They just went through it with Chapman, and they just learned a valuable lesson. You bring in a nutcase, okay, and the nutcase is going to continue.
He's another one that's unsigned.
Yeah, because he's nuts. The guy is sick in the head. Who the hell gets a tattoo in the middle of the fucking baseball season and then gets an infection and misses 3 weeks? And this is after you just got.
The Orioles should sign him. Look, I'm rooting for the Orioles to be good.
Well, I always root for them to pick it up because my brother-in-law is an Oriole fan. I hate to see him suffer the way he's been suffering the last few years.
They've stunk. And now it looks like they're kind of, sort of, maybe on the right track. Get Bauer, get Chapman.
I wouldn't go near Chapman. Oh, if you put Bauer and Chapman on the same team, that wouldn't be a good idea. Bauer is one thing, but Chapman is a whole other story. Chapman can't throw strikes.
I know he kind of fell off.
Boone stopped bringing him in. I mean, Boone was bringing him in like the 5th, 6th inning because he was so bad.
Maybe it changes scenery for Chapman. I mean, he still throws heat.
Yeah, he still does. For the most part, he's not 100 miles an hour on every pitch anymore. He's more like 98, 99 now. But I mean, he can get up to 100. But
He's
his
34.
His
He's
control
34.
his control is not good anymore. So
What did he do last year?
there is zero chance that he's going to sign with the Yankees. I can tell you that right now.
28 walks in 24 innings. That's not good.
Was that good?
Oh, I'm sorry. 28 walks in 36 innings.
Wow, he didn't walk more than a guy an inning? Boy, it sure seemed like it.
He
Well,
did
actually,
not.
the first half of the season, he was pretty good. And then right before the All-Star, right around when he, right around before the
Right.
All-Star
He got
break.
staff.
Yeah.
He got staff and wasn't the same.
No, and Clay Holmes pitched pretty well out of the bullpen as the closer. And then when Clay Holmes ran out of gas because Boone wore him out, Wandy Peralta picked up the pace and was spectacular out of the bullpen last year for them.
I think Chapman could be a diamond in the rough for someone.
I think he needs to go to a team where there's not as much pressure. I mean, he'd be better off probably like going to Texas or maybe the Marlins or somebody like that. Maybe the Marlins.
From Cuba.
That's
Feel
what
right
I'm
at
saying.
home down there in Miami.
Yeah, I think he might. I think that might be a good spot for him because you know what? It maybe playing in front of his, playing in front of a lot of his countrymen down there might get him to might spur him on. Maybe he'll give him a little jolt of lightning. I just he can't play for the Yankees again. Not after the crap he pulled and then stormed out of the stadium
He quit the team.
He quit on the team. I mean, how do you do that? Especially after all the money they paid him.
Yeah.
I mean, that was
all right. That'll do it.
That was bad.
All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Sports Hounds. Thank you, everyone, for listening, commenting, sharing, subscribing to our channel and show. Thank you to our great sponsors. Next Monday, we'll be live reacting to Tampa and Dallas, and we'll have everything NFL to cover as well. Until then, peace out.